Harley-Davidson just endured one of the toughest years in its modern history, and the evidence is still sitting on dealership floors. Sales fell, shipments dropped, and hundreds of millions were lost as the company declared 2026 a reset year. Hidden among the new inventory are discontinued models dealers are eager to move, giving buyers a rare chance to negotiate some of the best Harley deals in years. Number 14. Nightster Special. It was supposed to be the grown-up Nightster: cruise control, tire pressure monitoring, a Bluetooth display, handlebar risers, passenger seat, and pegs. The 975T Revolution Max makes 91 horsepower and 72 pound-feet, and it starts at $12,499. On paper, the smart buy. In practice, Harley destroyed its own product. The base Nightster launched at $13,499. It fell to $10,499, and for the year 2026, it sits at $9,999. Same frame, same engine, same 91 horsepower. That's a collapse of $3,500 on the base bike, and it dragged the Special into a dead zone. You're now paying $2,500 extra for cruise control and a screen. Buyers do that math in the parking lot and walk to the $9,999 version. So here's the move. Any leftover 2024 or 2025 Nightster Special is priced above a brand new base model. That's an unsellable unit, and the dealer knows it. Ask for it at base Nightster money. But the Nightster Special is at least still in the catalog. The next bike has been frozen in place for 5 straight years, but that's far from the whole picture. Number 13. Sportster S. Harley promised a Sportster reborn. What it delivered was a bike that hasn't meaningfully changed since the year 2021. The Revolution Max 1250T displaces 1,252 cubic centimeters and produces 121 horsepower at 7,500 revolutions per minute and 93 pound-feet at 6,000 revolutions per minute. More power than anything else Harley sells under $20,000 at $15,999 for years. So why isn't it moving? The specs were never the issue. The 2025 update quietly increased rear wheel travel by 60%. Read that again. A 60% increase in rear suspension travel is a public admission that the original bike's rear end was unacceptable. Owners had been saying exactly that for 4 model years, and every one of those units from before 2025 is still floating around dealer floors and used lots. So you have 2 very different motorcycles wearing the same badge. The post-2025 Sportster S is genuinely good. The Sportster S from before 2025 rides on a shock Harley itself replaced. Check the model year before you check the price. A 2022 Sportster S at $12,000 isn't a bargain version of the current bike. It's the one they had to fix. That one at least got fixed. The next one didn't get a second chance at all, and that's where things head next. Number 12. Fat Bob 114. It was the black sheep, and that was the point. Twin stacked mufflers, a slab-sided headlight, bronze headers, almost no chrome, and a chassis you could actually ride hard. The one Harley that made sport bike riders look twice. The Milwaukee 8 114 gives you 1,868 cubic centimeters and roughly 119 pound-feet. Then Harley pulled it from North America after the year 2023. No farewell edition, no explanation. But here's the part almost nobody mentions, and it's why a leftover Fat Bob is a smart buy instead of a risk. The Fat Bob was never actually discontinued. It continued in Europe, Britain, and Asia after it vanished from American showrooms. The parts catalog stayed alive, and the Softail chassis underneath is shared with the Street Bob, Heritage Classic, and Fat Boy still in production today. So the resale hit from the word discontinued is real. The ownership risk behind it is close to zero. The Fat Bob got killed for being too different. The next one got killed for being too cheap. The next case tells a similar story. Number 11. Softail Standard. This was the door, the bike that led a rider into a real Softail without financing a small house. The FXST used the Milwaukee 8 107, 1,746 cubic centimeters, stripped of every option Harley could remove. Solo seat, mid-controls, blacked out everything. Around $14,999. It was the last Softail powered by the 107 in the American lineup. Harley discontinued it after the year 2024. Now look at what replaced it. Entry into the Softail family became the Street Bob at $17,199. That's a $2,200 jump in 1 year for the cheapest way in, at exactly the moment new rider demand was already soft. The Street Bob is the better motorcycle, but it's a lot more bike aimed at someone who wanted a simple starting point, which is why the leftover standards matter. Any dealer still holding one is holding a bike powered by the 107 in a lineup that went all 117. It matches nothing on the brochure rack. Those units get discounted hardest, and for a first Harley, that lighter, simpler chassis is arguably the better bike to learn on. And speaking of bikes that didn't fit the brochure, number 10 never fit anywhere. Things keep moving from here. Number 10, Sport-Glide. Let's do this one differently, because the Sport-Glide's problem was never mechanical. Picture the sales floor. A customer wants something he can commute on Monday, strip down on Friday, and take 300 miles on Saturday. The Sport-Glide did all three. Detachable hard bags, a detachable mini fairing, a Softail chassis with the 107 underneath, 2 clips and 30 seconds, light tourer to naked cruiser. Now watch what happens next. The salesman has to explain it, and the moment a bike needs explaining, it loses to the bike on either side of it that doesn't. Cruiser buyers walk toward the Street Bob. Touring buyers walk toward the Road Glide. The Sport Glide sat in the middle, the correct answer to a question nobody asked out loud. Harley pulled it from the United States, then dropped it entirely. Here's the useful part. Those detachable bags and that fairing are exactly what Harley charges serious money for as add-ons. A leftover Sport Glide comes with them factory fitted and factory wired. You're buying the accessory package and getting a motorcycle attached to it. Nobody could categorize the Sport Glide. The next bike had the opposite problem. Everybody knew exactly what it was. The next one is easy to overlook. Before we continue, everything in this video comes straight from Ride Longer, Spend Less, the complete motorcycle maintenance handbook. The full system, every step and every number we couldn't fit here. Scan the QR code on your screen to get your copy, and let's get back to it. Number 9. Breakout 117. It was built to be looked at, and it does that better than almost anything on the road. The Breakout runs the Milwaukee 8 117, 1,923 cubic centimeters, a 21-inch front wheel, a raked-out stance, and a 240mm rear tire. The sticker price is $23,099. On paper, the ultimate boulevard weapon. In reality, that 240mm rear tire is the whole story, and not in a good way. That much rubber does 3 things. It cuts lean angle, so you touch hard parts on roads a fat boy handles without complaint. It makes steering heavy at low speed, exactly where a 700-pound bike is hardest to manage. And it costs real money to replace, because a 240-section tire has a fraction of the fitment options a standard cruiser tire has. So you're paying $23,099, more than the Fat Boy at $22,599, for a motorcycle that's harder to ride in everyday conditions, less comfortable over long distances, and generally more expensive to maintain. The oversized rear tire looks incredible in photos and parked outside a cafe, but it also makes tire replacements more expensive and slows the steering every time the road starts to twist. Buyers who actually ride discover that on the test loop. Buyers who don't usually discover it at the first rear tire change. If the stretched custom look is what you want, buy a used Breakout and let someone else absorb the depreciation. But if your priority is riding rather than posing, the Lowrider S at $20,499 delivers stronger real-world performance, sharper handling, more cornering clearance, and does everything the Breakout does, except it actually turns. The Breakout's problem is engineering. The next bike's problem is that Harley itself cut the price by $3,000. The list keeps getting more interesting. Number 8. Heritage Classic. This is the nostalgia bike. Valanced fenders, a detachable windshield, leather-look saddlebags, floorboards, and a genuinely comfortable saddle. For a lot of riders, it's the most authentically Harley motorcycle in the entire catalog because it captures the classic touring look without the size and weight of a full dresser. The 2025 model carried the Milwaukee 8 117 and started at $22,999, putting it firmly into premium cruiser territory. Then look at the 2026 model year. Harley introduced the Solo Trim package, bringing the Heritage Classics starting price down to just $19,999. That's a $3,000 reduction without changing what makes the motorcycle appealing in the first place, making it one of the strongest value propositions in Harley's current lineup. That's a $3,000 drop announced by the factory on a bike with no fundamental mechanical change. That's not a promotion. That's Harley telling the market it had priced the bike wrong. And here's why that matters to you. Every 2025 Heritage still on a floor is a superseded unit competing against a new one that costs $3,000 less. The dealer can't sell it at the old number. He can't sell it at the new number either, because then why would anyone buy the leftover? That's the most stranded unit on this list, and it's a genuinely excellent motorcycle. If there's a 2025 Heritage on the floor, that's the conversation to have, and you start well below the new $19,999 figure, not near it. And if a factory price cut sounds bad, wait until you see what Harley did to the next one. It didn't cut the price, it cut the model. Around the same time, something else happened. Number 7. Road King Special. For decades, the Road King answered a specific question. What if you want a real touring Harley without a fairing bolted to the front of it? Handlebar-mounted headlamp, no bat wing, no fork-mounted plastic, detachable windshield, hard bags. The tourer for riders who wanted to see the road instead of a dashboard. The Special blacked it out and dropped the chrome. Harley discontinued it, and that ended something bigger than one model. The Road King was the last mainstream Grand American touring bike without a fairing. Once it went, the touring lineup became Street Glide, Road Glide, and derivatives of those two. If you want a Harley tourer today, you're buying a fairing whether you want one or not. There's no replacement, and no 2026 model that does the same job, which is why used Road King values have held up better than the discontinuation suggests. So the leftover logic that works everywhere else doesn't apply here. A new old stock Road King Special is worth negotiating on, but don't expect Heritage-level fire sale numbers. The people who want this bike know there isn't another one coming. That one got killed after decades. The next one only got a single year on sale. The next example is a good illustration. Number 6. Hydra-Glide Revival. Harley built this for exactly one job: be a rolling museum piece you can actually ride. The 2024 Hydra-Glide Revival was part of the Icons collection. Aqua and birch white paint, classic Hydra-Glide front-end styling, a build capped at a limited run, priced accordingly. Discontinued after the year 2024, exactly as designed. Here's where most limited editions go wrong. The Icons theory is that scarcity creates appreciation. Buy it, park it, watch it climb. That works when demand exceeds the run. In 2025, with retail down 12% and big-ticket discretionary spending under real pressure, demand did not exceed the run. So you get the worst outcome for a collector bike. It's rare, it's finished, and it's still available. A limited edition still on the floor 2 years later isn't a limited edition. It's inventory with better paint. For a rider, that's the opportunity. Under the Icons paint, it's a Softail with a Milwaukee 8, sharing service parts with bikes still in production. Rare bodywork on a completely conventional maintenance platform. That was a limited edition that didn't sell out. The next one was a CVO that cost as much as a car. Now take this into account. Number 5. CVO Pan America. Stop and think about what this bike actually was, because it's the strangest product decision Harley has made in years. CVO means Custom Vehicle Operations, the top of the company. Historically, a street glide or road glide with the biggest engine, the best paint, and a price near the ceiling. Harley applied that treatment to its adventure bike. The CVO Pan America started at $29,249. Now run the customer profile. The buyer spending CVO money is buying finish, exclusivity, presence. The buyer who wants a 1250 adventure bike is buying it to take somewhere it will get scratched. Those aren't the same person. And the standard Pan America 1250 Special sits at $19,999 with the same 150 horsepower Revolution Max engine underneath. The chassis, performance, and core riding experience are fundamentally the same, so the CVO asked roughly $9,000 more, largely for premium finishes, exclusive paint, upgraded trim, and additional equipment on a motorcycle whose entire purpose is riding through mud, gravel, rocks, and bad weather. That value proposition proved difficult to justify for many buyers. The result speaks for itself. It's not in the 2026 CVO lineup. Harley quietly returned the CVO badge to what customers have historically expected: street glide variants, leaving the Pan America to stand on its own without a premium CVO version. If you find one, know what you're buying: a loaded Pan America with rare paint. Value it as a Pan America Special plus a few thousand, not as a CVO. The badge doesn't hold value here. And if a CVO adventure bike was a strange bet, the next category was a far more expensive one. This next one stands out for a different reason. Number 4. Freewheeler and Tri-Glide Ultra. Trikes were supposed to be the safety net. Aging riders, balance concerns, riders coming back from injury. 3 wheels keeps them buying. The Freewheeler was the stripped-down version. The Tri-Glide Ultra was the full dresser, sitting above $31,999. For the year 2026, both names are gone. Harley rebuilt the entire 3-wheel range around the Road Glide 3 and the Street Glide 3 Limited, with the refreshed fairing and the Milwaukee 8 117 VVT. Harley called it the most significant redesign in the history of its trikes, which tells you exactly how the old ones were selling. Here's the thing to know before you buy a leftover. The redesign reportedly touches the rear-end architecture, including the transmission casing and rear wheel spacing. The new trikes and the old trikes are not the same machine underneath, and the aftermarket, the accessories, and eventually the service parts follow the new platform. A leftover Freewheeler or Tri-Glide is a lot of motorcycle for the money, and dealers are motivated. But you're buying the outgoing architecture. Fine if you keep it a decade, not fine if you trade in 3 years. Those two were replaced. Number 3 didn't even get that far. Not long after, this happened. The same idea shows up here too. Number 3, Street Glide Ultra. Harley introduced this bike for the year 2025 as a fully equipped long-haul touring model. Brand new addition to the lineup, full press launch. For the year 2026, Harley retired the name. 1 model year. That's the entire life of the Street Glide Ultra. Understand how unusual that is. A manufacturer does not spend millions to tool up, market, homologate, and ship a brand new touring variant, then discontinue the name just 12 months later unless the sell-through was genuinely disappointing. Motorcycle model names usually survive for years, sometimes decades, because replacing them costs money. Harley replaced that slot with the Street Glide Limited and Road Glide Limited, both starting at $32,999, making the Ultra effectively obsolete after a single model year. So every Street Glide Ultra sitting on a showroom floor today is a 1-year orphan nameplate parked right next to a 2026 Limited that performs the same role, but adds the current generation fairing, the Milwaukee 8 VVT engine, updated technology, and a name Harley is actually supporting going forward. For a buyer, that's the sharpest negotiating position on this list. The dealer is holding a touring bike that will never have a second model year, will never have a used market cohort to compare against, and looks obsolete next to 2026 stock. Mechanically, it's a Street Glide with touring equipment, and Street Glide parts are the most available parts Harley makes. A great motorcycle with a bad badge. At the right number, that's a trade worth making. That name lasted 1 year. The next one lasted a decade and lost $100 million. Not long after, this happened. Number 2, LiveWire S2, Del Mar and LiveWire 1. This was going to be the future. Harley spun the electric program into its own brand and targeted 100,000 electric motorcycles. The LiveWire 1 launched at $22,799 with a claimed 146 miles of city range. The S2 Del Mar came in at $15,499 with 110 miles of city range and 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. Both were assembled in York, Pennsylvania. Performance was never the problem. The numbers were. LiveWire sold 660 motorcycles in the year 2023. It sold 612 in the year 2024. That's not a typo. 612 units against an operating loss of $110 million. The brand cut prices across the S2 line under a program called Twist and Go, and it did not fix demand. LiveWire has since pivoted away from the flagship strategy entirely toward lighter, cheaper machines, which leaves the existing bikes somewhere very specific. Depreciation on a low-volume electric from a brand that just changed strategy is brutal, and it's already happened. If you commute under 50 miles a day and charge at home, a used Del Mar is one of the cheapest ways into a genuinely quick, essentially maintenance-free motorcycle. No oil, no primary fluid, no belt adjustment. Just go in clear-eyed about resale. There isn't any. And now, the one that hurts. Here's where things take a turn. Number 1. Ultra Limited and Electra-Glide. The Electra-Glide name goes back to 1965. It's the motorcycle that defined American touring for generations. It carried the Shovelhead, the Evolution, the Twin Cam, and eventually the Milwaukee 8, evolving with each era while keeping the same identity. For 3 generations of riders, if you said you were riding cross-country on a Harley, this was the Harley people pictured. The Electra-Glide wasn't just another model in the lineup. It became the benchmark every other American touring bike was measured against. For the 2026 model year, Harley-Davidson retired the Electra-Glide name. It retired the Ultra Limited name at the same time. Nearly 60 years of uninterrupted history ended not with a farewell edition or a special celebration, but with a product announcement and a refreshed lineup bearing different names. The replacements are the Street Glide Limited and Road Glide Limited, both from $32,999, both with the Milwaukee 8 VVT 117, the redesigned fairing, and the current safety suite including cornering ABS and cornering traction control. The new bikes are better. That's not the argument. The argument is what happens to the last Ultra Limited sitting on showroom floors right now, because they're simultaneously the end of a 60-year lineage and a dead nameplate in a year where Harley is pushing every dealer floor onto model year 2026 stock. That collision is what makes this the best buy on the list. Enormous emotional value and negative inventory value at the same time. Fully equipped touring, a lowers and bags package that costs thousands as accessories, and a parts network going nowhere because there are hundreds of thousands of these on the road. The dealer needs the floor space. You want the last one. That's the whole trade. Found this worth watching? Hit subscribe and join us for the next video.